As we prepare for Season 5 of the Amazing Build series and the release of Elatrion, we have to remember that not all hunters have access to the same gear, weapons, and especially jewels. So I'm Darcblade with a budget build for the Heavy Bowgun in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now the main purpose of a budget build is to provide a build for newer hunters who do not have access to a large jewel collection. Thus the builds featured in this series make use of a lot of alpha armor pieces and should allow newer players to farm more jewels for their collection. The Heavy Bowgun, much like the Light Bowgun, can be subdivided into different builds depending on what ammo types you wish to favour. For the purpose of this budget build, I will be making use of a spread ammunition DPS build, although you can also get away with using pierce ammunition with this build with a few minor changes. So for this build you'll need the Polgor Helm Alpha, the Kirin Jacket Alpha, Kaiser Van Braces Alpha, Kirin Hoop Alpha, Kirin Leg Guards Alpha, and the Dispersal Charm 2. If you were using pierce ammo, you would replace this with the Penetrated Charm 2. And then for my weapon, I'm using the Stygian Humilitas, which is the Stygian Zinogre Heavy Bowgun, although to be honest you can also use the standard Zinogre Heavy Bowgun for the same effects. And if you were to use piercing ammo, then I'd recommend either the Viper Tobi-Kadachi Heavy Bowgun or Nagakuga Heavy Bowgun. Now if you have access to augmentations, I'd recommend an attack increase augmentation, affinity increase augmentation, and then an augmentation of your choice, to which I've gone for a defense increase augmentation. As for the specialist tools, these are down to personal preference. So when it comes to the jewels, remember this is a budget build, so we're not using any rare jewels here. We've simply gone for vitality jewels for the health boost skill, expert jewels for some critical eye, protection jewels for some divine blessing, and we had a jewel to play around with, to which I've gone for a resistor jewel to increase the blight resistance skill. So if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health and 150 stamina when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You have an attack of 465 with 50% base affinity, which can be 100% so long as you're attacking monster weak points that have been tenderized through clutch claw attacks first. You have average deviation. When it comes to the custom mods, I've simply gone for close range up mods and then a shield mod. To be honest, you can get more damage out of this build if you were to use the special scope, but I personally find it a little bit disorienting, so I've gone for a shield mod instead to allow us to block incoming attacks. Anyway, as for the special ammo, you have the Wyvern Snipe, which makes it easy to tenderize monster body parts as it's only one shot compared to Wyvern Heart. And then when it comes to the defense, you have an OK defense of 1006 that is exceedingly strong against Thunder and Dragon, but unfortunately weak to the other elements. Now when it comes to the skills, you've got a few here. First of all is Critical Eye at level 7, increasing the base affinity of the build. You have Health Boost at level 3, allowing our health to get to a maximum of 200. You have Blight Resistance level 3, which is a combination of byproducts from our gear and that resist the jewel. Blight Resistance makes us completely immune to any elemental blight out there. You have Ammo up level 3, increasing the amount of rounds we can have in a clip or magazine before we need reloading for the various ammunition types we use. You have Weakness Exploit level 3, increasing our affinity by a set percentage so long as we're attacking monster weak points, and should these weak points be tenderized through clutch claw attacks first, then the increase to our affinity is even greater. Weakness Exploit at level 3 grants us a bonus 50% extra affinity. You have Divine Blessing level 3, a decent defensive skill that allows us to potentially take reduced damage when we take a hit from a monster. You'll have Spread Shots level 2, increasing the damage of our spread ammunition, and you'll also have a few byproducts in the form of Heat Guard level 1, preventing any damage when we're in lava zones of the Elder's Recess or Guiding Lands, and you'll have Resuscitate level 1, which is kind of wasted a little bit on this build considering we have Blight Resistance, but Resuscitate is a skill that when we have a Blight on our hunter, it doesn't have to be just an elemental Blight, it could be an element Blight, will gain increased dodge capabilities and reduced stamina consumption. Now as for the set bonuses, you only have one of them, which really is a byproduct of the armor in all honesty, which is Kirin Divinity Great Luck, which increases the chance of getting rarer rewards at the end of a hunt. But there we have it, that's the Heavy Bowgun budget build I'd recommend. But of course every build out there has pros and cons. The biggest pros for this build is its strong DPS output. Making use of the spread ammunition type, the close range up mods and the various affinity based skills we have, we're able to deal decent damage to a monster so long as all the pellets from our shots are hitting. On top of that, this build comes with a few quality of life skills including health boost, blight resistance, ammo up and divine blessing, making hunts feel a little bit more easier than they are. And then finally, this build can be pretty much used against any monster out there regardless of their elemental or element resistances. But unfortunately there are cons. The biggest con for this build specifically is that you have to be close to the monster to deal maximum damage. This is one of the downsides of spread ammunition in general. And the other con is, unfortunately, this build lacks any of the spare shot skills, which is a quality of life skill for all bowguns that give us a chance at not consuming a bullet when we fire the weapon. This build lacks it, but given the Stygian Zenogre's large clip size when it comes to spread ammunition, well, namely spread free, it doesn't matter too much, especially because we also have a quick reload. But there we have it, that is the build I'd recommend for the Heavy Bowgun. It is quite a strong build, and like I said, if spread ammunition isn't your thing, you can also switch this over to piercing ammunition if you change the charm. Of course, pierce ammunition has its own sets of pros and cons. For example, it's exceedingly good against long monsters like brute wyverns, but it's a little bit weaker against the smaller ones. But regardless of which one you favour, this is a strong DPS build so long as you're accurate with your shots. So that's the budget build for the Heavy Bowgun. Of course, as you farm more and more, hunters will get more gear and weaponry, as well as expand their jewel collection. When this happens, I hope the other builds featured in the Amazing Build series will come in useful. So until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you a budget build for the Heavy Bowgun in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.